22 of Georgia Living Podcast, specifically on Marietta. I'm Celine Evans.
And I'm Chris Evans.
Welcome.
Woo!
All right, another afternoon podcast because our lives are just so nuts.
Holy moly, I don't think we have come up for air in the last, 10 days.
No. I don't think so. This is why my face is shiny and everything, and I was
I mean, from community involvement to we've got a consignment sale that we've been heavily involved in that's going on right now, real estate listings, negotiating contracts. It has been a very, very busy second week of March.
I sleep well at night.
Well, yeah, it's kind of easy to do when the moment you hit your pillow, you're just so exhausted.
I love my pillow. It's big.
So in today's episode, we're actually going to talk about one of our favorite things, is that Marietta. We're going to get into some of our favorite places, things to do, places to go, attractions, and some details about different parts of the city as to if you're thinking about ever moving here.
I don't think we can cover everything.
No.
It's a really big city.
Yep. We're also going to get an update on this episode from Rob Doer with EHLA, who I got a chance to sit down with earlier. So we'll get that interview included in the show today. So you get your mortgage update. But before we get in there, Celine, what have we been doing with the family this past week?
Oh my gosh, when do you want me to start? Friday, Saturday?
Well, let's just go through the weekend because we've been pretty busy. But
okay, well, it was the kids' last day at Japanese school for this term because they follow the Japanese calendar, and it's very different from our school calendar. Mm-hmm. They end last week, and then their new, school year, as far as that goes, it's also a work year. Because people go through, high school graduation, mm-hmm. and then they graduate after college, and then everyone gets hired at the same time. Isn't that bizarre?
Yeah, it's like Japan follows the spring like we follow the summer. So graduation happens in May here. In Japan, graduation happens a little bit earlier in March. So they've got 2 months, and then they're transitioned and working by the summer.
That's a good way to put it. You know what? But they're smarter because they like the spring when it's not as hot, because Georgia gets hot. Real hot.
I don't know who's right or wrong there, but growing up in Massachusetts, I would have been pissed if my summer vacation was happening in March and not in June, July, August.
Well, they did a summer vacation. Anyways, it was the last one. We did a farewell party, just, regular spread, fruit salad.
Oh, yeah.
Pita chips, some cheese, apple juice.
We were class parents for one of the kids, so we put that on the last day. That was fun.
Yes, and then the teacher got some hydrangeas because that's really big in Japan, ajisai, and a couple of tickets to movies, which I think are going out of style now. Fun
fact with hydrangeas is that the climate controls the color a lot of time.
Climate?
Doesn't the climate control the color?
No, it's the acidity of the soil.
Oh, it's the soil acidity. I'm an idiot. Well, the soil acidity controls the color of that plant.
That's why when I was in Massachusetts with you, it looked all strange.
Their hydrangeas are pink.
Every one of them were pink, and I was like, this is so wrong. It's
Down here, they're blue.
It's like I'm colorblind almost in Massachusetts.
Fun fact. Yeah.
All right, and then so on Sunday... what did we do on Sunday?
We were volunteering all day.
Oh, gosh. So, I don't know if anyone has small children or even grade school children, but there is a consignment sale that is held every 6 months.
Yeah.
So, twice a year. And it's called All for Kids, ALL4, the number 4, KIDS.com.
We'll include that in the show notes.
Yeah, and the Hadsel family, hi Jennifer, hi everyone, has been doing it. They started it in their garage off of the East Piedmont Road area. And it was just this necessity thing, and her mom has just grown it to be one of the best consignment sales ever. And a lot of families do depend on this because, clothes are expensive, especially for little kids who might put chocolate pudding on it and then ruin it. That was like, what, a $30 shirt? You're going, no.
Got one use out of it? Great.
Yeah, then that's just money down the drain. So we started doing consignment sales when our first was born. And the quality of the stuff at this consignment sale, you still find things with tags on them. They check them for stains every single time. We are on the setup crew. So they have 2 semi trucks full of racks that are heavy duty, and they bring them up to His Hands Church off of Molly Road, I believe, in Woodstock. That's really close to 92, Highway 92.
It's close to 575 and 92.
Yes, where it intersects. It's not right there, but it is there. His Hands Church.
It's right across from Lowe's.
Yes, and that's the Woodstock sale. There's another sale at J.R. Miller Park in
Marietta.
North,
It's over
the community services
30008.
areas,
Yeah, near County Services and Callaway Road.
County Services. So both of those sales are enormous, and I can clothe 3 children for $750 total
For a
with
whole year.
name brand stuff, and we volunteer to get in earlier.
Yeah, because there's a hack to this.
Yes, so if you volunteer, you get an earlier shopping slot than even the sellers, and that's where the really good deals are. So I encourage anyone to, get online, go to allforkids.com, and contact Jennifer and say, hey, I want to volunteer. You're going to get some really good deals. Now, they not only have clothes, but there's also going to be equipment, toys, games, books, homeschooling stuff, even shoes, which...
Large items. I saw Sunday when we were doing the unpacking, some of the large items start getting dropped off. Somebody pulled out this giant dollhouse, which is probably 8 foot tall.
It was taller
and
than
like
her.
6 foot wide, and it's just giant, like 1 foot by 1 foot cubes for rooms, and things like that. Now, you mentioned the hacks, so you can get in early and before. There are different ways to get access to this. If you sell your stuff, you get in early. If you're a first-time mother, I think you get in before they do. But if you work the shifts and you volunteer enough, you'll get in first. So that is how you get the stuff that's like Polo and Abercrombie. We've had some really high-end stuff that has come through this.
There's some kids Lulu.
Yep.
There is Matilda Jane, Hurley, Under Armour. I'm trying to think of the boys' stuff that they have. Chaps, Nautica, Tommy Hilfiger. But
We've had Brooks Brothers. We've had Brooks Brothers
Yes.
kids suits that we got from this for like $10, $15.
yes, but the older that they get, the more used they are, especially because grandma's not buying as much.
So it's
For
better
the little
when they're-
baby, right? So it's better when you are really tiny, maybe up to
0 to
third
6,
grade-ish. Well, no,
0 to 7.
yeah, somewhere around there. Now it does start to peter off after that, but sure, supplement your closets with this stuff that you can find and save some money. I know we can all save money, so I'm all for that.
I feel like the only way you actually become like wealthy is by not spending your money.
I agree.
And this is
Yeah.
one of the easiest ways to not spend money, especially, going through all of the years where we were, newborn, and then we had 2 in diapers, then we had 3 under 5, and then there was always these stages. And is it a pain in the butt to take a day off and handle childcare and have both of us volunteering? Absolutely. But is it worth it? Yes, because it would easily cost 7, 8 times more if we bought all of this stuff new. So what we would be looking at is either the kids get less stuff, or it's going to cost us way more to acquire all this stuff new, because we would be talking about like, here's a $100, $200 suit for 1 or 2 time use every single year.
Yeah. Oh, and today's haul, I got a nice black suit for James. I got a communion dress for one of them, which I'm sure.
Yeah,
we're
that's
gonna have
coming up.
Yeah. And then some Easter dresses too. So they're going to be set. And I hate shopping so much. I cannot stand shopping, and that's probably what contributed to our wealth in the from the ground up.
Yay,
You'll
we
be able
have
to
a
read
book.
about it. But I am not a woman that likes to spend money, simply because and all the rest of that stuff that goes with it. So, yeah, sorry, honey. Don't like it. Anyways, any other things that we've been doing? What was yesterday?
Yesterday was Monday. We worked
We worked.
and worked and worked and worked and lots of website work. So, selectrealty.com, we've had a lot of new articles coming out. Last week we posted all of, so for Cobb County, you can go to selectrealty.com and there's like 6 new articles. And the real estate performance around the county is broken down by area. There's 5 different areas. I did East Cobb, which is 30067, 68, and 62, and parts of 75 for Roswell. There's Central Marietta, which is 30008, 30060, and 30064, I believe. Then there's Smyrna Vinings, Southwest Cobb, so that's Austell, Mableton, Powder Springs, and then North Cobb, which is Kennesaw, Ackworth, kind of above Barrett Parkway.
Cobb County's big.
Yeah, so it's a lot, and we detailed it out because, just saying how the county's doing, you don't really get a good picture of that. But if you want to know what's happening where you live in the part of the county, you can go to selectrealty.com and find one of the new articles that breaks down February's performance by area.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a chance to sit down with Rob Doer earlier this morning before our recording. He had some great things to say about the real estate market. Let's have a listen. Rob, great to have you back on the show. Talk to us about what's happening in the mortgage world. We've got so much happening on Wall Street right now. How do we keep our head from spinning?
Well, everybody just needs to remain calm and breathe deep. We'll all get through this together. It's been pretty stable. I mean, it's a little slower than usual on the mortgage side at this time of year. Usually we're seeing it pick up a little more, but we are seeing it pick up. Rates are moving in the right direction for sure, more than I've seen in a long time. It was kind of like we're very stagnant for a while, but I've seen a lot of positive movement. Virtually.
Where are we right now for rates today?
On
Tuesday, March 18th.
On a 30-year fix right now, we're at 6.25.
Okay, so we're kind of unchanged from where we were last time we had you on the show, because we were at 6.25 then.
Yes.
And the 2-1 buy downs, we're going 4.25, 5.25, 6.25 over the next 3 years.
Correct. I will say it's usually, rates are in a good spot right now. Over the past 3 years, when they've come down to this level, usually they shoot back up within a week or two. So it's nice to see them coming down and staying down and hopefully continue that trend, which I think it will. So I feel like, it's a good time to buy. Like we talked about, there's no reason for rates to go down, because if we wait for rates to go down, prices are going to go up, and there's going to be a feeding frenzy on whatever houses are available. So always better to purchase now, secure the home, and then just refinance to a lower rate when rates come down. Yeah. And to your point, prices will eventually go up. We don't know when that's going to be, but what I am seeing, at least today on the properties that are currently for sale, is most sellers are wondering where the buyers are. Yeah. So if there's a buyer out there, and we went over the data before, we are approaching a buyer's market for Metro Atlanta. There's pockets where it's still a seller's market, but for the data as a whole says we're now at a 4+ month supply, which puts us in buyer's market territory. So if there's been somebody sitting on the sideline, you got to think it's not just the interest rate today that is kind of better. Last time we saw 6.25 was like last October, when we got this big buyer frenzy moving in because, rates dropped. Mm-hmm. Right. They went right back up after that. But for a buyer today, you can go in and now you got a 6.25. You can also negotiate more with the seller and try and get that price down even more. Yep. It works best on properties that haven't sold in the last 3 years, right? You want to target somebody who owned it before COVID and before the run up in equity. So there's margin there in those properties, but deals are being had. Mm-hmm. We're selling properties for the same or sometimes less than they went for a year or two ago. Yep. So from a buyer's, at least from my mentality, when I look at it, I'm thinking, if I can go out today and buy a house today for what somebody paid for 2 years ago, I have bought 2 years of investing in my life. I've bought 2 years.
And that's kind of a weird way of looking at it. But, once you look at things in the eye of time and what it's going to do for you over a period of time, 2 years is a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to keep it in perspective too. Think about it. I mean, over the past 3 years, rates have been at 7, 8. We were at 8% like a year and a half ago. 8%.
Well, yeah.
I mean, we're almost down a full 2 points. So that's huge in my opinion.
Yeah. And so we haven't seen too much movement in the 10-year though. So I think, correct me in what you're seeing. Let me ask this as a question. Are you seeing more movement in the bond market to bring these prices down, or are you seeing that the margin that was priced into these loans is going back to more of a historical average?
Yeah, I think it's more the bond market. I mean, it's directly.
You think it's the bond market?
Yeah, we follow the bond market all day long, and it directly correlates with rates. So.
Okay. So I know it's been a couple of weeks since we've had you on. During the last couple of weeks, we watched this massive sell-off on Wall Street. Right, we went from just about 6,500 on the S&P to now we're hovering around 5,600. A pretty substantial correction here. And during the last 2 weeks, the bond market has kind of been up and down because it's risk, right? People leaving equities, going to debt. Did you see fluctuation happening in those prices over the last few weeks to kind of get us back to that 6.25?
Not as much as you would think. I mean, they've been taking around 6.25 for the last several weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, it didn't have as much effect on rates as you would have maybe thought.
Oh, well, that's good. So hopefully we're going to see some stability starting to happen in these lower rates. What do you think is going to be on the horizon for mortgages this spring into this early summer?
I think it's going to, I mean, just my opinion, I feel like it's going to pick up substantially with, I mean, we had the election, a lot going on since the election where, everybody's, but I think it'll calm down. It'll continue to calm down. I think rates will continue to go down, hopefully. But I think they will. And I think the market will pick up a good bit.
Okay. And for those who have purchased over the last few years, with rates kind of stabilizing at that 6.25 mark, at least for the last 3 weeks, is now the time to start exploring refis if that's an option?
I mean, we had a handful of refinances, a good bit last year, just depending on when you might have closed. So anybody that closed when rates were, 7 to 8%, absolutely would make sense. So it really just depends. So I do monitor everybody's, mortgages that I did over the past few years. We're very close on a lot of them. Like I said, we did a good bit last year when rates took a dip at folks that had closed at a higher rate. So I've got a substantial number of folks that are really close to that point. I would say probably anytime you're refinancing, you're getting the rate down. You can save a 0.5 point. I think it's a no-brainer. If you can save any more than that, it'd be silly not to capitalize on that. You don't understand to refinance. You can't just do it once. You can do it as many times as you want. Yeah,
it's about every 6 months, right?
You have to wait 6 months. But you can refinance as many times as you like. And the way we often do it is do a no-cost refinance where we absorb all the closing costs. So in essence, you're just refinancing, starting the mortgage over for free. So like no harm. There's no reason not to do it. And I've refinanced my house. I've been in my house for 20 years. I've refinanced at least 3 times, maybe 4 times, and each time I've done a no-cost refinance, just because I don't want to pay all those closing costs and then drop further. And I refinanced in 6 months, and I just wasted that money. Right.
I've done that too, and I think the last time I did that, if I remember right, my rate was slightly higher, but I didn't have to bring anything out, and it was like 0.15, like it was like an eighth higher or something like that. It wasn't substantial. So glad to know that that's there. One other question for you. I came across this the other day with a buyer that's put in an offer on one of our homes. So you had touched on, I think last year we talked about that Georgia Dream opened up a new program. And I guess with this new program, you don't have to be a first-time home buyer because these buyers are selling a house. Like they own a house today and they're still qualifying for some DPA assistance through Georgia Dream. I know you're not prepared to talk about this, but if you have any insight that you'd like to share, I'd love to include that in the show.
Well, there's different down payment assistance options out there. Just to be honest, Georgia Dream has not been my favorite, just because the rate's a little bit higher with Georgia Dream.
Yeah, it's not my favorite either because we did it before when we bought our first house. So it was a pain in the butt. But it ended up giving us the money for the down payment when we were still in college. So that helped.
It did. The only two negatives with that is the rate is a little higher, and the closing costs, in my opinion, are a little higher. To get that free money. There's other programs out there that do have literally that's a program that gives you up to $6,500 down payment assistance, just free money towards the down payment. And the only caveat to that is you have to currently live in a specific area. The dependent fees would be based on where you're buying.
Yeah, zip code and demographics around those areas. Yeah.
So even areas in Sandy Springs and some areas where you might not think might not be eligible for it, are actually eligible. So we've done some of those rates. The rate's fantastic. Just free $6,500.
Well, that's good to know. Rob, thank you so much. Before I let you run, why don't you share how people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, my email address is rdoer, so it's RDOERR @ehla.com. And my cell phone number is 404-771-0341.
Rob, as always, thank you so much for spending your time with us. And, we look forward to getting you back on here, hopefully in a few more weeks, to tell us even more good news about where rates are going.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Of course. It was so great to sit down with Rob and go through this earlier today. One thing to note is as we continue to talk about the Georgia Dream program, and FHA loans afterwards, he did mention that FHA has a much better rate right now. It's 5.75. And if anybody's credit is under 700, FHA is probably going to be the best move to make because conventional loans are penalizing in points pretty significantly, the difference between above 700 FICO and below. Also, Rob pointed out that with programs like the Georgia Dream program, where you're not a first-time home buyer, and those programs typically do have hefty fees involved, is that what the program is doing is they are charging a higher percentage, so they're making more on the loan, and then they're turning around and giving that to the buyer. In our conversation, I asked Rob and said, hey, do you have the ability to do this? Like if a buyer said, I need an extra $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, can you charge a higher rate and then give that back? And he says, I absolutely can as long as it is in line with the underwriting guidelines. So if you're thinking about getting into the market, you want to start that process, give us a call. You can find us at selectrealty.com, SELLECT, because we know how to sell, but we don't know how to spell. Just kidding. It's good, huh? Anyway, so huge shout out to Rob. His contact information's in there. Give him a shout. We also will have him in the show notes afterwards. So that's kind of what's going on.
I do know how to spell.
I do too. You're much better than I am. You correct me all the time. You're like my AI. So we've been really busy in real estate as we were talking. So rates holding steady, 6.25 right now, 5.375 or 5.75 for FHA loans.
That's not bad for a first-time home buyer.
It's 50 basis points less than our first rate on our first mortgage right now, and that was back in 2008.
Yeah, so really, if you're a first-time home buyer, I know that there's a lot of noise out there about real estate. But like the Georgia Dream program that's available for you out there, there's a lot of opportunity because right now people are cash poor. They can't afford to buy those fix and flips because they don't have the extra amount to put into those.
Oh, investors are suffering right now because of the rates. And I am what's that German word? Schadenfreude or something like that, which is like pleasure in the misfortune of others. Because I've watched all of these investors come in and some of them do a great job, but some of them are just awful. So
I have my favorite.
To have them struggle ours are good, and we're supporting them with opportunities as they come up. But to watch some of these fly-by-night people,
Yes.
or the wholesalers, or people who are trying to buy properties subject to, I hope they run out of money. I hope you run out of money.
Stop.
Because it's a disservice to people who work hard and save hard and have lots of equity in their home, but they don't know how to access it.
Yeah.
So when the time comes to sell, the least resistance path makes the most sense to a lot of people. And it's the worst thing you can do. Sell to an investor.
You're talking
lose
about
money.
we buy our homes cash, or
I'm talking
something
about
like that type of
anybody.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We buy homes cash. They advertise to you, your home sold, whatever the guarantee is. If the buyer is a corporate entity, you will make more money selling your property with a realtor or by yourself using something like simplylistatlanta.com. So I am passionately against people flipping homes. I think it's a necessary service, much like a mushroom decomposes things in the forest, but they are not investors, because real estate investors buy and hold.
True.
Flippers run a property rehabilitation business. I can go off on a tangent on that, but I don't want to bore you.
Well, that's like when people say, "Oh, do I want to invest in this jewelry?" I'm like, "That's not an investment, honey." It's just, misuse of the words. But
Yes,
anyways, off
exactly.
your soapbox you go.
Soapbox is gone. We've been busy in real estate. We've got
Yes.
3 properties under contract in the last 7 days.
Yes.
We have a new listing that we're working to bring to market by the end of the month. We have 2 people that we've talked to that are in situations their homes are going to be coming up hopefully within the next 60 to 90 days. So we are rocking and rolling. We just put a piece of land under contract that'll be developed at a later date. Gorgeous.
I'm excited about that one.
I am too.
Yes.
Can't reveal any of the terms, but
Yes.
if you followed my social media where I was out playing in the woods instead of being in an office, well,
You
we're
were
under
working.
contract.
You were working.
Playing in the woods can make money. So lots of fun there. What else do we got? So we're going to be talking about Marietta today. And before we get into that, I want to give a shout out to one of our Select Realty agents, Rick Dorrell, who has a listing for sale in a great location in Marietta, 611 Parkside Village Way, Northwest. This property, you can find it anywhere online. Rick is going to be hosting an open house on Sunday from 3 to 5. Now, the great thing about this, it's right by base camp on Old 41. So right by Kennesaw Mountain. So you can wake up in the morning, you can go for a walk, a run, ride your bike, because you're at the mountain. And then coming back, you can go over to base camp, grab a coffee, have breakfast, work from there if you're working from home. And it's all within walking distance.
So base camp used to be the biscuit place.
Used to be Mountain Biscuits.
Mountain
Yeah.
Biscuits, and I believe that they were bought out, and now it's base camp.
Mm-hmm.
So don't think that it's actually the base camp in our book or base camp and actual mountain.
Yeah, it's a restaurant
store.
called Base Camp.
Yes, it's a restaurant.
I believe their breakfast and lunch, I think, if they carried on from what Mountain Biscuits was. I haven't checked it out. I drive by this place all the time to get to our Kiwanis meeting for Marietta Kiwanis, because that's over off of White Circle.
It's one of those places where you keep on forgetting, and then you pass by it and you're like, oh, and then you forget it again, and then you pass by it again. Every time.
Well, so
We'll try it out.
we do need to try that out. We also need to try out the Indian restaurant that opened up at Old Canton and Roswell. And I'm saying that on the show because I've been saying I need to do it for a long time. So if I'm putting it out on the show, maybe we'll actually get a chance to go do that within the next week or so.
Veranda, right?
Veranda, I think is
Yeah.
the name of it. Yeah. So we've heard it's great Indian food, but we haven't tried it, so we need to go out and try
Parker is the owner?
it. Prabhakar,
Prabhakar.
Yep, and he's somebody that we know because he actually uses some space here in the office.
He's super nice.
In our executive suites
Yeah.
side. So yeah, very nice guy, brilliant tech mind, but opened up an Indian restaurant and we need to go try it. So real estate is staying super busy. We're not going to dive into much more than that because we don't want to bore you every week with this stuff. What we do want to discuss is some of our favorite things about Marietta. So we've covered Ellijay, we've covered Blue Ridge on some of our day trip destinations, but what makes Marietta the place where you would want to move to or live or work, play, raise a family, stay by yourself, retire? there's lots of opportunity here, and we want to share some of our favorites.
I have so much to say because I lived in Marietta for the majority of my life.
Me too.
This is our hometown, and you have in our show notes here the Red-Eyed Mule. So
Yep.
the Red-Eyed Mule is a restaurant that started off in a little small restaurant.
Started off right across from
Yeah.
Marietta Feed and Seed on Old 41 right there, where near Kennestone Hospital.
Yeah, so an older building,
Mm-hmm.
and Alton Brown went there and announced that he really liked their sandwich.
It was one of his favorites in Marietta.
Yeah, so of course we had to try. Now, Alton Brown is also a Marietta resident. He lives closer to the square, Old Marietta, for people who don't know.
There is
But-
a difference, yeah. Old Marietta and New Marietta. Would you
Yes.
explain that?
Oh, so Old Marietta really is closer to the square. Now, we're talking about near the railroad, the train station, what used to be, it's now the Welcome Center.
All the historic homes
So-
along Canton and
Yes.
and Cherokee Street, or Kennesaw and Cherokee Street.
So Lemon, Church, Cherokee Ave, Forest Hills, few others. So that's Old Marietta, especially if you grew up and you know what businesses were there beforehand in the square. Kind of like Marietta Pizza Company used to be a drugstore, and it had an explosion one night on Halloween night and killed a little boy. So
How about that?
yeah. So that's really like Old Marietta stories. Now, we're talking about Red-Eyed Mule, though. So he lives in this area and says, you've got to try it. Now, we did, and that was more than a decade ago. I
Yeah,
wanna
this
say.
is probably 2012, 2013 when we tried
Long
it.
time ago, and it was so good.
And that was at their original location. Now they're off of 120 South. Ooh, that popped. Now they're off of 120 South, right at the intersection of South Marietta Parkway and Mangett Street, close to the Cobb County Civic Center. It's the old Huddle House. And this place is just spectacular. I always get the Sloppy Slaw Burger, which is the worst thing for your health, but it's a patty melt with chili and house slaw on it. It's delicious. If I eat that, I'm probably not having another meal for the day.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, I'll have half, and then you end up eating all of it because it's so good.
Oh, it's so good.
And you have no leftovers. Yeah, that's one of them.
Yep.
There's also Dough in the Box and Donut Dollies. Now, they're totally separate. And I also drove by Ray's Donuts, too,
Oh,
this
and
morning.
Ray's isn't in Marietta, though.
Oh.
I thought of that. I thought of including Marietta.
So
but
that's Woodstock.
Duck Donuts is. So we
Yeah.
have 3 custom donut shops in Marietta.
But Duck Donuts is a chain now.
Duck is a chain. Donut Dollies is close to Kennestone. Right there over, what's the restaurant?
You do know what a Donut Dolly is, right?
The dolly is like the cart that they push people on for the hospital. It's a hospital theme. No?
No.
No? I don't know then. Apparently, I suck.
So Donut Dollies are the women that would go overseas and give the troops donuts to boost morale.
I
or-
had no idea that was a
or
thing.
at home to give. Yeah, they're called Donut Dollies.
Fun.
The
The
cart.
more I know. So Donut Dolly's great, right by Kennestone Hospital.
Great placement though. Yeah.
Yeah, very much. And then Dough in the Box Donuts is on Austell Road.
I remember you would buy a whole dozen of this and then just bring them.
So Dough in the Box was also another one of Alton Brown's like favorite places in Marietta.
These are not like Krispy Kreme. They are big and chunky and like substantial.
They're cooked on site daily.
Yum.
It's fresh. It's not like Dunkin' Donuts where they ship them every morning now. It's, all these chains are
Wait,
going.
Dunkin' Donuts chips?
Yeah, they don't bake on site. That's why I don't order donuts.
What?
Yeah.
Every day donuts are traveling across the U.S. and then they.
I
up
don't know
there?
where they're shipping them from, but they are not baked in-house. No, every chain has been bought out by like private equity, and like over the
What?
last 2 decades, all private equity has done is try and ruin restaurants by maximizing profits. So everything is off-site now.
But you're Mr. Boston. You love Dunkin' Donuts.
I like their coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
What donuts do you
I
like?
still
then?
like their
Dough in the
type of
box?
donuts. Oh, I would go with dough in the box.
Any day?
Or Ray's or Duck, but I'm not a Krispy Kreme guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's some other places as well. You can do grab and go meals.
Oh, yeah.
I tend to stick to Whole Foods around here, Sprouts, just because I like the stuff that they offer. Is there anything in specific that you like for grab and go meals for there?
Absolutely. So if you're looking for something that's not a chain, but you want something on the healthier side, the Good Food and Market is one that I would check out. Now, these folks are salt of the earth, some of the nicest people I've had a chance to meet. Both of them are cancer survivors, husband and wife. The wife had a rare type of cancer that they couldn't diagnose until it was even stage 4. And he ended up getting cancer after she had been battling hers for like 10 years. They both ended up doing lots of research, studying after the doctors basically said there was nothing that they could do for her. She starts researching diet, changes their diet, and here they both are cancer-free. And they provide, so it's clean meals, the type of clean meals that like the NBA and pro athletes have to eat. So these folks cater for a lot of professional sports teams whenever they come to Atlanta. They cater for some of our local sports teams once or twice a week. There's some people that are so gung-ho followers of this restaurant that they moved close to it because they eat there like 6 out of 7 days a week.
Wow.
So Good Food and Market is fantastic. They have a location, Marietta. They also have a location in Smyrna. The Marietta location is close to Kennestone Hospital. It's an old residential building that's been converted. And I forget where the location is in Smyrna, but it's the Good Food and Market. I would highly encourage you to check those out. Also, Marietta City Market we didn't mention, and dining around the square. So there's tons of places where you can go all around Marietta Square. One of my favorites is the market because you get to go there. If you're a little bit before 12, there's going to be plenty of free parking open in the free parking lot. And then there's a ton to choose from. So if you want bubble tea or, there's Korean fried chicken, there's
Vegan food too.
vegan food, there's burger joints, pizza joints.
Cuban, I want to say.
Yeah, there's a Cuban section in there, and it's like a food. It's a food hall.
There's
so
a streetcar
they all have
outside,
different
too.
stalls, and they take the Marietta theme, our train theme for our history here, and they've incorporated that. So I don't. Is it? Did they have seating inside the train? I forget.
Oh, I don't know. I've never sat inside.
No, but there's indoor and outdoor seating. It's just a great place to go. So if you're around the square, make a day. You can grab dessert at one place, lunch at another, and just kind of try what all of our vendors have to offer.
Now,
here.
you used to take me out to dates at the square in high school, and
Yeah.
where would you take me?
Well,
Cool
we
Beans,
would.
right?
Yeah, Cool Beans Cafe,
Yeah.
which is a great little coffee roaster right on the square. They do fantastic. I mean, everything there is delicious. Great coffee. I don't know if they're still doing it, but when we would go there back in high school, it was live music a lot of times. There's this little alley right out back where, there's seating and they'd have a musician. So you could just go, relax, have a coffee. Really, that was when I was being a good teenager and staying out of trouble. So
My favorite memory
Yeah.
there is so we have Santa Claus come to the square sometimes,
Oh, yeah.
and I think Santa needed a coffee or a hot chocolate or something, so Santa went to Cool Beans and was right in front of me as well as our smallest daughter, and I didn't think anything of it because he just
it's just
wants
another
a drink,
day for you.
right?
It's just Santa needs a coffee.
Yeah, there's a guy dressed as Santa Claus, but it's December. It fits, right? They're everywhere.
Claire was 5 when that happened, and she was
looked at him, goes, "Oh my gosh, there he is!"
like pointing at
at
him.
Cool Beans.
It's a great photo. If I can find it, I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, and then he turned around and starts laughing because there's this gawking 5-year-old just pointing at him, and I'm going, that's rude, stop. But
Oh, yeah.
everyone understood what was going on. It was just this, spur of the moment thing. I also actually miss a few places around Marietta too that have moved. One being Brumby Chair Company. And they used to have a giant storefront at the square, but they moved a little. It's still there, but it's a little further down, and that's where they hand make these gorgeous heirloom rockers.
Yeah.
And they are works of art. I had to have one when I was first pregnant with our first, and you bought one for me.
You made me promise. You wanted one so bad that you made me promise that you would get a Brumby rocker before we had our first kid. So the moment that I found out you were pregnant, I'm like, crap, now I got to spend a lot of money on a custom rocking chair. But I did, and it's been sitting in our bedroom for going
Over a
on
decade now.
Yeah, going on 12 years almost.
And I use it, and the kids know that it's a special heirloom, and this is one of those pieces that just gets better with age because it creates this deep, dark color in the wicker, or the what is it called? It is wicker, right?
Yeah, it gets a patina. You hate that word, but that's the word.
I was trying to avoid the P word. I know, little pet peeves. That's one of mine.
That's a weird one.
I know.
You're fine saying moist. You hate patina.
Because you have a Boston accent when you say patina.
Patina. My husband from Boston. Brumby Chair Company, absolute staple here in Marietta. This is one of, it is like a core Marietta thing.
And Shillings is gone too, which was really good, but it was replaced by something even better. So while you look up what it was replaced by, so Shillings actually used to be a hardware company that was on the square, and this is Mr. Schilling who opened that store. It was there for a while, and he lived kind of next to where they built magistrate court, I want to say, or the county court clerks? The clerks. And so you have to walk a little bit off of the square to get to it, but his house is still standing, and it was for sale maybe a couple of years ago. Somebody bought it. I don't know who, but it's this beautiful Queen Anne that's still there. Unfortunately, it's commercial property, so you can't live in it. But I have dreams, you know. I can always dream.
You do?
Yeah.
So I think this is what used to be Shillings. It's now Mac's Chop House.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And next door is Willie Ray's Social House, and upstairs is Mac's Raw Bar.
Now, that wasn't the original Shillings.
No, but this is where the
store.
restaurant was.
Yes, at the corner. It was the corner of Church Street and East Park? North Park Square.
Yeah, Church and North Park.
Yes. There are a few others around there too. So Sugar Cake,
That's been there a while.
that has been there it's a little bakery, and it's really good. There's Three Roses Tavern, same thing off of North Park Square. L on North.
I haven't tried L.
I have not either. Do you have any favorites there? I know that we have tried some that aren't there anymore, but Marietta Pizza Company is definitely a staple.
Oh, yeah. So Marietta Pizza Company has been a staple. Great pizza. You know, you're not going to go there and argue over who has the best New York pizza. It's Marietta pizza, not New York pizza, but it's really, really good.
Oh, the Australian bakery has been there since before we even graduated high school.
Yeah.
I
love their meat pies. Like, it's delicious meat pies. You can get any sort of...
I'm a sucker for all the kangaroos that used to be in the window because I thought it was so cute.
And then, you know, we've had a Taqueria Tsunami there for a while. That's a chain. Sweet Treats is a great little shop. And then you've got the Bottega Italian Market there. This is where Eddie's Trick Shop used to be. I miss that.
Oh.
We used to have so if you've been in Marietta for a while, I'm sure you remember Eddie's Trick Shop. It was a staple on the square. This is where you could go and get, you know, little tricks or magic tricks or costumes, masks.
Gag gifts. So imagine life before Amazon, right? You would go into these little general stores and they'd have everything and anything. And it was so amusing because even as a kid, you look at the classic, you know, the gum pulling thing, whoopee cushions, whatever it is. And there's just a plethora of stuff there. I really liked browsing around there. One other thing was that it was our go-to for nice costumes for rent. So for plays, productions, even over the top Halloween parties, you would go there and rent them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I don't see it here on the map, but I think that wasn't there like a little English shop?
Yeah, the English store, it's still there.
Is it? I don't see it here on the map.
Oh, it's like the corner store or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's just not showing up.
It has a variety of stuff that is not only British, but it's also Irish. I think there's some Welsh stuff in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's one on the square. There's also, if you're looking for that kind of store, you've got the Queen's Pantry.
Yes.
Which is a little bit further out from the square. This is going to be in East Cobb, across from the Merchants Walk shopping center. So if you're turning onto Providence Road, you would turn right into Merchants Walk, and then there's a little small out parcel to the left before you get to Whole Foods on your right, and it's in there. And Sam is the owner of this shop. She guarantees that you're going to have, what is it that she says? Banter and something is that she guarantees
Her
when you're
store
there?
is so personalized,
Yeah.
and she greets everybody in the fashion that you've known her all your life.
Yeah.
And she's just welcoming another neighbor, and we don't have enough of that.
No, she is
She's a proprietor.
she totally is, and she's good at it.
Yeah.
So that kind of covers a lot of our favorite places to eat and explore around Marietta. There are, if you're the outdoorsy type, there's a ton here. So if you're by the square, you have quick access to Kennesaw Mountain. And I know we've talked about a lot of the history around this before, but like if you were living in Rick's house right now that he has for sale, you could get up in the morning, go for a bike ride, walk the dog, go for a run or walk, and then grab a little coffee over at base camp before you ever even start your day. This is the kind of thing that Marietta affords people that it's really hard to find elsewhere.
And good for history buffs, too.
Oh, it's so good for history buffs because you can, if you're just going to walk along the park, bring your metal detector. See what you can find.
I don't think you can.
No?
I don't think you can. I'm pretty sure
I'm
you can.
curious. Well-
I'm pretty sure you can't.
Well, then don't. Or at least don't say that I told you to.
Check with regulations.
There you go. So there's lots of trails that are easy for, all skill levels and offer a lot of historical significance. So you can spend your time and still be in history because this is one of those places that formed Georgia the way it is today.
Yeah, you can still see the trenches that were dug by hand. They're
So-
definitely there.
So other outdoor activities, we can head closer to East Cobb now and talk about Soap Creek and the Paper Mill ruins.
It's so pretty there. I love it.
So Soap Creek is there's a trail that kind of goes along this and you meander through it for a while and eventually you'll come to actual stone ruins of an old paper mill. Why don't do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it is kid friendly. We took our 3, and do plan for some walking. Like if they are very whiny, you might not want to do this because
Let's just
it
stick
is.
them in a backpack.
Or stick them in a backpack. Not like that, but one of those carriers.
Like the kid ones. Yeah, don't
kid
don't
ones.
shove them in and contort them. Like that's rude. Like the kid hiking backpacks.
Yeah, that one.
Like the legitimate ones.
Not just a
Not
backpack.
promoting child endangerment here.
So it's quite a while to get to it, but once you get to it, it's worth it. And so this is right by Soap Creek. You know that they use the water power to start these massive operations. And they are ruins because, it was essential paper in that era, and the Union Army wanted to destroy it. So it's destroyed. It's still destroyed.
Yeah, this is it's the type of mill that would have been run on an old water wheel.
Yes. However, you know that not all of it is original, right?
No, I have no idea anything about it. It's just stone ruins to me.
So they did put some of it back just so that people will have a representation of it, but a lot of it is original as well. And it is right by Soap Creek, and Soap Creek ends up in the Chattahoochee. and that was the weak point for people who were in the Union Army trying to cross into Atlanta to burn Atlanta. So they did cross there.
We'll
and-
talk more about that crossing in later episodes.
Yes, but that's the creek that feeds it. And also the name, do you know where that comes from?
No, I
It's
don't
actually an Indian chief.
Is it really?
His name is Soap. S-O-P-E. Not S-O-A-P. We have nothing to do with the detergent kind. This is just who was the chief around there, I believe. So Google that, see what you can find if you're a history buff. But it's a little dangerous if you have kids because they can climb on stuff and then fall because they are ruins. But you're not supposed to climb on top of the walls anyways.
No. You're supposed to stick to the trail.
Yeah. And it's a nice breather. You look around, see what people did and how hard it was to make just paper. We take it for granted. We just go to Costco and buy a ream or two or whatever they sell, a pallet, and then bring it home and then you're done. But with them, it's the whole process of the logs and, the paper and the pulp. So I thought it was fascinating. Of course, I love history so much, so...
Well, I would likely agree with you on its fascination.
Yeah.
But while you're over there, the Chattahoochee has a lot to offer.
Do not go swimming in it.
No, I wouldn't recommend you swim in it. Like, if you're going to go in or tube it, I would highly recommend go up to Helen, do a day trip. We'll cover Helen a little later for one of our
That's the
day trip
beginning
destinations.
areas.
But you want to be north of Lake Lanier on the Chattahoochee River.
What is that old song? Way down yonder on
In
the
the
Chattahoochee.
Chattahoochee.
Never knew what that muddy water meant to me.
Yeah.
It means E. coli. Watch
There
out.
have been a lot of spills into that river, so I wouldn't drink out of it.
No,
I don't eat fish out of it, and I certainly wouldn't swim out of it.
there are fish though.
It's
Yeah.
actually stocked. You can do trout fishing on the Chattahoochee.
Really?
Yeah. The lower section is stocked. You can actually fish for trout right at the lower level, the dam just south of the lake. You can go south of the dam and fish, and that's a stocked area as well.
We complement each
Check for local regulations.
I
Make
don't
sure
know.
you're not keeping them in delayed harvest.
Ooh,
So, there's a ton of outdoor stuff that you can do here. It's hard to feel like there's nothing to do when you live here. And so whether you're enjoying some of the local shops or restaurants, if you're going outdoors and experiencing everything that Georgia has to offer from nature, there's lots of birding opportunities. But then there's also like local festivals. So Marietta is not a quiet suburban town. Like it's a small city in its entirety. And so we have lots of celebrations here, from fireworks on the square for 4th of July to parades.
Oh, so 4th of July.
Okay.
I haven't told you this yet, but the Atlanta DAR chapter is marching in the 4th of July parade. And we might be too.
I love driving the ladies in the parade almost as much as I like being on the lake for 4th of July.
So here's a hint. It's not 100%
Okay.
We
Well,
might,
if we
might
do
not
it, we
be
do
here.
it. It's fine. We're here.
If we're here,
Yeah.
sure. Because it is the 4th of July, which right before school starts. So surprise. We
Surprise!
might be in the parade. I know it's hot, and a lot of the ladies were like, oh, because it is hot.
On
But
4th of July?
I know. It's hot. We always do Veterans Day, but 4th of July is
Toasty.
right in it, yes. The fireworks. One hint. If you get there and people are avoiding a certain area,
Don't be there.
there's a very good reason why they
You're
are
going to be in
doing
the
it.
fallout.
Yes, or you just can't see anything because they know where the fireworks are going to end up, and you might have a giant tree in front of you. So big hint there.
Yep.
And then there's also the East Cobb Parade that goes on, and a lot of East Cobb places do go ahead and march in it, and even the elementary schools and some of the I think some of the private schools too.
Yeah, so the East Cobb Parade is that's usually a fall event that's put on here in East Cobb. It goes kind of down Johnson Ferry and ends at Johnson Ferry Baptist Fest, where they'll have this big community event. It's put on by the East Cobber, which is a magazine that covers the things that are happening in East Cobb. And there'll be lots of businesses, schools, local civic organizations, the East Cobb business organizations. All of them go out there. So we've been there before for Select Realty. We don't do it every year. It depends on our travel schedule if we can make it or not. But definitely something that is a big attraction here in East Cobb.
Yep, and then local high school sports. Can't miss those.
No.
There are a lot of games that are crowded and some that aren't. It depends on the high school, but if you have a kid, by all means, go out and support them, or go to the Friday night football game. We have Pope right across the street from us, so we go there quite
Yeah, we'll
often.
just go. Our kids aren't in high school yet.
No.
Doesn't stop us from going to the game. Anybody can go to the game. You just buy a ticket, and I think they're like $8 to $10 each. So we go, we buy the tickets, and we'll go to 2 or 3 games every year. It's just a great way to get out of the house. Because what else are we gonna do? We're gonna sit around? No.
Then I hear the announcements from my house, and I just want to go there and see what's going on
Yeah,
all
FOMO.
the time.
Total FOMO.
FOMO.
Fear of missing out. Got to see what those Greyhounds are up to.
Well, what about the Braves?
Well, the Braves. Well, not technically Marietta, but Marietta adjacent, right? You can get there
Yeah.
within 10 minutes and still in Cobb County, but it's an Atlanta address. The Braves Stadium, Truist Park, is in Cobb County now. It has been for about 8 years. And it's a great way to get out. Traffic in and out of the Battery, Atlanta, not as big of a deal as it was down at Turner when the Braves were there. When the Braves were at Turner Field in Atlanta, that had one way in, one way out, basically, or maybe it was 2 ways in, 2 ways out. Traffic was awful. You were pregnant. We left a game, and we were sitting there, and our air conditioner in the car decided to go out.
Yeah.
While you were like 7 or 8 months pregnant.
Well, honey, I have actually
in the middle of
been
summer.
here longer than that. I remember going to games at Fulton County Stadium,
Oh, well,
which is right next to Turner
it was the
Field.
parking lot at Turner Field, yeah.
Well, it turned into the parking lot,
Mm-hmm.
and you can still see Hank Aaron's record-setting home run marked there.
Yeah, they got a marker there.
It's so
cool.
nice. But now the Turner Field Stadium is no longer that. It is for Georgia Southern. They
Mm-hmm.
use it for their collegiate activities there. So watching the Battery on that Smyrna-Atlanta border, because you have to understand Fulton County is like the shape of Japan almost, and it's very meandering, right? So a lot of the times that border will surprise you when you're going from county to county.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I didn't know Fulton County was here. Yeah, it's a very strange shape. And one of those borders is right there off of Highway 41 and Spring Road, I believe. Yeah.
It's a little bit further south of that. I think it's like Cumberland Boulevard is where Fulton ends and Cobb starts, because it is a sliver of Cobb County that is Atlanta City.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's the Braves there. It's Cobb County. I think county line goes down to about Cumberland Boulevard, where it switches over to Fulton.
But just watching that whole place be developed, we were so excited about it. And it has not disappointed, because
No.
you don't have to go to a Braves game. You can go to Antico Pizza there. You can go to Yard House.
Yep.
There is, what else is there?
There's the Coca-Cola Roxy.
Oh, something
There's several
and Gun.
event
Garden and
venues.
Gun?
No, but Sitka, my
Yeah.
favorite outdoor hunting apparel company from Sitka, Alaska, is they have a shop that opened up this year or last year at the Battery.
You don't have to go to a game. You can
No.
just go to these places and enjoy the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
You could do it during a game. I don't know why you would pay $20 to park during a game, but hey, if you don't want to go and see it, you can definitely hang out there. There's so much to do.
The Battery Atlanta has parking. I'm not sure how it works during games, but if you're there and it's like under an hour or something and your parking's validated, then you don't pay.
Nice.
Like you have a certain amount of time that you can park. You do have to get your ticket validated. It's for certain decks. So just do some research before you go. But it's also easy to Uber there because
Oh, but that has a specific drop-off pickup location.
During games.
Yes, during games.
Mm-hmm.
You have to abide by that.
Yeah, but great place to go. There's tons to check out. And actually, almost right across the street from the Battery is iFly, which is an indoor skydiving
I
place.
like the iPhone and then
Yeah.
Fly.
I want to check this place out. And I've been saying that for how long? I have still not gotten to go over there and do some indoor skydiving. I want to try
So
it.
indoor skydiving is a fan on the floor and then you just hover over it?
So you get done up in like skydiving gear, right?
Uh-huh.
And you've got, I don't know the kind of suit, but you're wearing a helmet and you're in there. And basically you go over the fan and you spread your body out and then you go flying up. And then you can control like your height based off of like how you're positioning your body.
Do you really want to do that?
Why not? I'm not going to jump out of an actual plane, but I'll stand over a fan.
Sure, but I feel like you felt the force of a really powerful fan before, so you know what that feels like. You're
Yeah,
just
but I'm not like
flying.
hovering over it. I want to be the pen in like a magnet holder that it doesn't move. I just want to be like floating there.
I'd rather go drive a tank, but okay.
I'd like to do that too. And you can do that in North Georgia, not Marietta. We're talking about Marietta today.
Okay, fine.
So Thrill Seekers indoor skydiving does exist. Also in Marietta, that's where our North Georgia State Fair comes every year.
Yeah. I mean, the other big one is in Perry.
That's
and
the state
Middle
fair.
Georgia.
Yeah.
So really, that's it.
So when you're, well, no, because like Ella J, they get their small little fairs. The North Georgia State Fair is a very large one, which basically it's the fair for everybody on the north side of Atlanta.
It's so big to where it permanently has those ski lift gondola things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't take that down. And I do believe some of the rides are permanently up too, like the big slide.
I think so.
I don't think that is working. It's just a scaffolding. I don't know what they do, but there are a few things that are up year round. You can't use them though.
And if you followed the show at all, you know that Celine loves that North Georgia State Fair because she has so many blue ribbons that have come from it, including our son, the 2013 blue ribbon baby. Or maybe it was 2014. I think it was I don't know. How old was he when he went up there?
He was drooling and
He was-
drinking milk.
He was
so
born in
under
July.
I
So
don't
he
know.
would have been like 2 months old.
One. No.
3?
I don't know. He still
Well,
has the plaque though. It's
Or
funny.
I guess he would have been at 2013 because 2014 he would have been over 1.
I guess so.
Yeah. So, yeah, James, the 2013 Blue Ribbon Baby of the Year, North Georgia State Fair. If you see my son, make sure you mention that to him. It will embarrass the heck out of him. So, lots of things to do here. These are some of our favorites. There's never a moment in Marietta where you think to yourself, what is there to do? And you say, nothing. Now, let's talk about different parts of Marietta because, as I mentioned earlier, we put out all of the different Cobb County zip code real estate statistics.
Old Marietta. We talked about that.
Yeah, and depending upon where you are in Marietta, your commute time may vary depending upon where you work.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are working in Atlanta and you need access to the highway, then really you have 2 different choice. You have kind of 3 different routes that are going to get you there from Marietta. So you have the East Cobb route, which is going to give you access to I-75 at Roswell Road. It's going to give you access to 285 via Riverside Drive that you get to from Johnson Ferry. And it's going to give you access via 400 that you take Johnson Ferry, which will eventually turn into Abernathy. Those are the 3 routes from the East Cobb side. The central side of Marietta, kind of Marietta Square, you're going to have 75 that goes through there that you can pick up on Marietta Parkway North next to Kennestone Hospital. And then you can also get on Marietta Parkway South. And there is an HOT lane, which is a reversible toll express lane that goes south in the morning, north in the afternoon, and you can get on that at Roswell Road. That goes, and it'll allow you to bypass the traffic on I-75 north and south, basically from just before 285 inside the perimeter all the way up north. I think it ends around Cherokee County on 575, and it continues into Woodstock, maybe Ackworth on 75. So you can bypass a lot of traffic in the morning. Then if you're on the west side of Marietta, so closer to kind of southwest Cobb, you're going to access 285 via east-west connector, or 75 via Windy Hill Road. So those are your options. If you are on the north side, then you're going to have access to like the Bear Parkway exit for 575 and for 75.
So there are a lot of people who can make it work, the commute from Cobb County or surrounding counties, but Atlanta has grown.
Yeah.
And the traffic has grown too. So really, if you don't like traffic, you want to live close to where you work. This is not a public transportation friendly place.
No.
We don't have a train system. We do, but it's very limited. And we're very car dependent. So keep that in mind. There are definitely some famous bottleneck areas, such as the Grady Curve. There's also
East-west connector will get backed up.
onto
Canton.
20.
East-west
285?
connector will get backed up in the morning, going into Marietta, as people are trying to get into the city. Same thing, Atlanta Road's the same way. South Cobb Drive is the same way. But reverse, coming home in the afternoon, like Canton Road. People getting off the highway at Marietta Square, taking Canton Road either into East Cobb or into Woodstock, because Canton Road turns into Highway 5, which is Main Street in Woodstock if you stay on it straight enough. That becomes a nightmare. Sandy Plains Road becomes a nightmare. So understanding where these traffic, stop and go traffic events happen in the area is important to understand. They're not there all the time. Like I can go down to Marietta Feed right now and go down Sandy Plains and Canton Road and get there in 10 minutes.
Well, a good thing would be to, if you're from somewhere else, take a look at our traffic updates during rush hour. See what goes on there. See if you want to deal with that. And then plan accordingly.
One of the things that I actually ask my clients to do when they're moving to an area where they don't know what that commute is like is go to Google around the time that you would be leaving work and put in that address, your work address to the potential house address, and just see what that commute looks like Monday and Friday. And that's going to give you a general idea. And Google has trends, so you can actually see, well, the traffic's going to be heaviest here, here, and here. And plan your commute around that. Because I was talking to one of our potential buyers last week, and she was saying how, well, she can't find anything. Well, I did a search and found that there were like 80 homes that hit her criteria. She goes, go 15 miles out. And I'm like, well, you want me to go to Woodstock? You want to be in East Cobb? She said, well, go 10 miles out. I said, that's still going to get you all the way to Woodstock. It's not that far. So doing a 5-mile radius, there were like 80 properties that fit her need. But she's been living in such a small radius for a long time that going outside of that is daunting and hard. But
I can understand that. There are a lot of people like that.
Yeah. So
small towns, think about it.
You've got to do the research. You got to know what is available. There's different price points, right? 30008 is not going to give you the same homes or features or property value appreciation that 30062 or 30068 will. It's just value and income disbursements. Like you have a different type of property in that area, and there's nothing wrong with it. I grew up there. I'm an Osborne High School graduate, and now I'm living in East Cobb. So it's just everybody has their own personal preferences. For us, this is close to our office. It's also close to 400, which is important for me.
I lived in East Cobb, but I went to Campbell High School in the International Baccalaureate program.
Yep.
So,
And that's over in Smyrna.
yeah, so I bussed 30 minutes each way, and then back then, it took that long, so we had to be out by the buses by 6:15, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Cobb County Schools does have a magnet program. And
Two.
well, there's several. So
Yeah.
you have magnet schools, and then you have the International Baccalaureate schools. The Marietta City District has an International Baccalaureate program. I don't know if it's full at this point or not. It used to be a partial IB
know.
program. Campbell has a full IB program. They're part of the Cobb County School. Wheeler has a STEM program. Pebblebrook has a performing arts program. Osborne has the career and vocational tech program. And then there's several others that I'm not too familiar with.
Well,
But
the career and informational is also opening up at Allatoona High School.
Allatoona is getting a career and vocational center as well. And those are cool because they train people who are going to be like linemen and work in electrical. They train
We need them.
nurses. They train HVAC techs. So you can come out of high school making, six figures right away, just going to work in the trades. It's awesome. I love it. But there's a ton of stuff that is here. Obviously, we're just over, we're well over an hour now. So we should wrap this up so that we don't lose your attention, and we'll just continue to do some more things on our local area that we love, that we hope that you'll love as well. So Celine, give us our wrap up and lead us out, would you?
So, yep, we have lived in Marietta pretty much all our lives. Come see it. It has a special place in our heart. Like we said, there's good places to eat. There's fun things to do. There is a never-ending supply. If you do get tired of Marietta, then it's a short drive to the surrounding areas for a fresh look at Georgia. Never ending, like I said. We have it all. We have small town feel. We have big town feel. We have short drive to the mountains. The only thing that we don't have is a beach because it is in Savannah.
No, but you can go to Ackworth Beach.
Okay,
Which is
Caldwell Park.
it's a lake, but there's a beach, and there's lots of sailboats there.
I was talking about the real beach, the ocean saltwater beach.
I'll take
we don't
what I
have
can
that in
get.
this area. But come see what we love in this area, and you'll understand. You can contact us on our website, and Chris, it's
SelectRealty.com with two L's, SELLECT, because we sell, not spell. I think that's going to stick with me. I don't know, at least for a few weeks. Until you either stop sighing or you just get so pissed at me that you yell at me.
I'm there.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, that's where I am today. So SelectRealty.com, you can send us an email, Chris at SelectRealty.com, broker at SelectRealty.com, SELLECT Realty.com. Or you can give us a call. The office number is 770-509-0265. You call that, you're going to get me or Celine. If we don't answer, leave a message. We'll get that. We'll get right back to you as soon as we can.
Yeah, it's been fun.
And until next week, thanks for tuning in.
Bye.